This is a CBS2 update. I'm Valerie Castro. Right now, we are following breaking news in New Jersey where a dump truck smashed into a home. Chopper 2 was over the scene earlier this afternoon in Hawthorne. You can see the truck lodged in the side of the home on Sunrise Drive. How it got there is still under investigation. Fortunately, no one was injured. In fact, the homeowner was in the pool at the time of the crash. We're tracking that extreme heat that is sending the area into a spring sizzle. We caught crowds trying to escape the soaring temperatures at Coney Island. Temperatures can be 10 to 20 degrees cooler than inland. However, be careful. South-facing beaches like Long Island and the shore face a higher rip current warning today. So what can we expect for the rest of the day? Here is John Elliott with a look.
Good afternoon, everybody. A challenging day out there. Heat advisory means it is hard for your brain and your tummy and your body to deal with the heat. Good real feel numbers, 95 to over 100. They've also expanded the air quality alert. That means anybody with any kind of respiratory issues or even the young or the old have to watch that. It's elevated ozone levels right at the surface because when you think high pressure, it's basically a dome of sinking air, so it caps off the atmosphere, and that's why you have this air quality alert as well. 94 in the city. That's the forecast. Pretty safe bet. This will be the hottest day so far this year. The number to beat is 92. And again, we could even tie some records. We're waiting for some storms to pop. Again, there's a better chance north and west this afternoon. And then we see those storms push through the city overnight tonight. There's a chance even for some of the evening hours you could see an isolated storm, but the front is still well to the north and west. The problem is you have higher dew points, so there's moisture in the atmosphere and the lift due to the heat, so we have to leave the chance for storms in the mix. And then tomorrow it's a morning event, and then drier air filters in. Now it's still hot at 88, but it's definitely less humid. Slight chance of a shower on Wednesday. Wednesday's kind of an interesting day. Some of the models have some of that rain backing in, so you could see a stray shower. But one thing you will notice, today, the hottest of the week. Numbers a lot closer to normal Wednesday through the end of the week.
And the potential record heat is also affecting schools in our area. A number of school districts in New Jersey and Westchester County decided to dismiss students early due to the rising heat. Many schools like Cordero Elementary and middle schools in Jersey City do not have air conditioning, making for an unbearable situation.
I get sweaty sometimes, and I'm very exhausted.
How do you guys work without air conditioners in there?
It's not easy, but, you know, we deal with it. We've been dealing with it for a long time, so we're just happy that we're getting a half day, and the kids will be comfortable. That's the most important thing.
As for New York City kids, AC or not, they have a full day of class today. And make sure you stay with us for all of the latest on this extreme heat and the rip current risk. You can find all of that information on our homepage. New information about that massive fire on Staten Island this weekend. Fire marshals now say it was started by a child playing with a lighter. 20 firefighters were injured, 4 seriously hurt trying to put out the flames on Steinway Avenue. Several nearby houses were also significantly damaged. The union representing New York's taxi drivers is calling for the city's help after another driver committed suicide. The group says 6 drivers have taken their own lives this year, and they're blaming financial pressures caused by the huge growth of ride-sharing services. CBS2's Jenna DeAngelis has more from City Hall.
We spoke to taxi drivers here today who are heartbroken and hoping for change. At the press conference, they put out roses and held these flyers with the names of all the drivers they have recently lost.
Something has to change.
The New York Taxi Workers Alliance rallying outside City Hall, calling on city leaders to create change for cab drivers.
This is the 6th driver suicide that we as a workforce have had to mourn just over the past 6 months.
The latest apparent suicide, yellow cab driver Abdul Saleh. Police say the 59-year-old was found dead in his Brooklyn apartment last week. Friends call him a hard worker, driving for 30 years, but recently struggling financially.
He was not making good money. Even he's not making, enough money for his car lease, plus, his roommate lease, plus, every month he was sending in money to his mom back to Yemen. So That's why he was very upset.
Last month, an emotional vigil was held for another cab driver whose body was found in the East River. Loved ones of Yumen Chow say he owed $700,000 on his medallion. It's a problem faced by a growing number of cabbies. Competition driving down the daily take, ramping up debt for owners who still must pay off those high-priced medallions.
We're going to be out here every single day until the city council votes and passes the bills that we have been calling for.
Activists here today have a list of demands for the city, including regulating ride-sharing services, capping the number of these cars on city streets, raising fare rates to make up for losses, and establishing fair labor standards across the industry. While the city has discussed limiting the amount of app-based cars for hire on the roads, nothing's passed. A City Hall spokesperson released a statement saying in part that no financial pressure is worth a life and asking anyone who is struggling to call 1-888-NYC-WELL for help. The Uber CEO recently suggested the city impose a surcharge on all taxi rides, including app-based trips, and put that money into a fund to help drivers struggling with debt. The people here today are not on board with that. At City Hall, Jenna DeAngelis, CBS 2 News.
A legislative hearing on school bus safety in New Jersey today, 1 month after a crash that left a Paramus 5th grader and a teacher dead. Lawmakers on the Senate and Assembly Transportation Committees are pushing for safety upgrades on school buses. 10-year-old Miranda Vargas and teacher Jennifer Williamson were killed on May 17th when their bus driver allegedly tried to make an illegal U-turn on Route 80 in Mount Olive. A student on the bus that day attended the Trenton hearing and recalled how he woke up in the hospital.
I asked what happened to the bus. I asked what happened to my friends. I asked if I was going to die.
Driving here today from across the state, I am sure each of you, like myself, pulled a seatbelt over your shoulder and clicked it in without much thought. How is it possible that this accepted standard of safety for all passenger vehicles is not required for our children on buses?
New Jersey requires lap seatbelts on all school buses, but the measure introduced last month would require 3-point lap and shoulder seatbelts. The Trump administration is strongly defending its decision to institute a zero-tolerance immigration policy in which every adult who comes into the country illegally is sent to a judge for prosecution. That decision has led to children being separated from their parents at the border, and as CBS 2's Chris Raggi shows us, it's led to heated protests across the country.
United! Controversy is building over the Trump administration's immigration policy, which separates children from their families at the border. The administration made the decision in April to implement a zero-tolerance policy prosecuting anyone illegally entering America.
It is absolutely the law of the land to do what we have to do. There are only two things you can do in this particular situation. You can release the entire family unit, or you can separate them. That's it.
Under President Bush, the U.S. referred all illegal immigrants for prosecution but made exceptions for adults traveling with children. The Obama administration used the same model but detained families together. The president says this policy is about stopping the spread of violence from Central America to the United States because criminals use children as pawns to come here illegally.
If the Democrats would sit down instead of obstructing, we could have something done very quickly. Good for the children, good for the country, good for the world. It could take place quickly. We could have an immigration bill. We could have child separation. We're stuck with these horrible laws. They're horrible laws. What's happening is so sad, and it can be taken care of quickly, beautifully, and we'll have safety.
They're describing this as the choice between open borders versus afflicting families, and that's not the choice at all.
The president will meet with congressional Republicans to talk about potential immigration bills tomorrow.
One bill House Republicans are working on would end the separation policy while also funding the border wall and imposing new limits on immigration. Frightening moments caught on camera at a tourist destination in China. A ceiling decoration suddenly collapsed on people coming down escalators at the scenic Washan Mountain Tourist Center in the Shanxi province. 9 tourists were injured, some even buried under debris, but everyone got out and they are all expected to recover. Meghan Markle's father is speaking publicly for the first time since the royal wedding, and he's revealing details about conversations he's had with Prince Harry and how he really felt watching Prince Charles walk his daughter down the aisle. Here's CBS 2's Tina Kraus.
This was the moment Meghan Markle's father missed out on, walking his daughter down the aisle. After much back and forth, Thomas Markle ultimately skipped last month's royal wedding because of heart problems. Prince Charles stepped in for the honor, escorting Meghan Markle to her prince.
I can't think of a better replacement than someone like Prince Charles. He looked very handsome, and my daughter looked beautiful with him. I was jealous. I wish I had been there. I wish it had been me. But thank God he was there, and thank him for that.
Markle watched the ceremony from California. He hasn't met his son-in-law yet, but told British broadcaster ITV he has spoken to Prince Harry on the phone several times, once about taking his daughter's hand in marriage.
Harry got on the phone with Meghan. They called me together, and Harry asked for her hand over the phone. And I said, you're a gentleman. Promise me you'll never raise your hand against my daughter, and of course I give you my permission.
Markle also says he discussed politics with the prince.
I was complaining I didn't like Donald Trump. He said give Donald Trump a chance. I sort of disagreed with that, but I still like Harry. You know, that was his politics. I have my politics.
Prince Harry's press office has not commented on Markle's statements. The royals typically don't go on the record about private matters. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
Markle also says he expects the Duke and Duchess will try to have children sometime soon. He says it's something his daughter has wanted for a long time. A win so stunning in the World Cup it may have literally rocked one country. Mexico beat defending champion Germany last night in a major stunner at the tournament in Russia. At nearly the exact moment Mexico scored, officials say at least 2 sensors detected a small earthquake in Mexico City. The officials say the quake seemed artificial and may have been triggered by millions of fans jumping in celebration all at the same time. That's your CBS 2 News update. Stay with us online and on social media and TV for the very latest. I'm Valerie Castro.